here. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and please hit like. So I've done even more work today on this little watch movement. I think it's a 2650, an ETA 2650, but it's for a Tudor, ladies Tudor watch, and I've finally got some success. So I've got the distance between the springs looking pretty good. It's pulsing nicely right now. The amplitude is not super high. It's over 200. It's 220, I think, which is not terrible, but not great, but not terrible. This is the old Hairspring that I've been manipulating and recovering and everything else. So it's had a lot of work. So what I did once I got it into the time grapher, this piece right here where the stud is, if I move it this way, then I had corrected my bead error. It was high, and I got my bead error down to 0.3, which by moving it this way. So once I get my bead error corrected, then this stud right here, I had to move this one here to speed up the watch a bit. So I moved it in this direction, which is shortening the relative distance of the hairspring. Is what you could say, the relative length of the hairspring. I shouldn't use the term distance there. So I did that. And then the next thing I did is, you could look at that thing, it's at an angle. I grabbed it and I turned it clockwise, and I did that so that the gap between the actual timing, what are they called? The regulator pins, the gap between the regulator pins is reduced, because the regulator pins would be kind of like these tweezers, like this, like that. But if you twist it sideways, all of a sudden you're twisting it like this sideways, and you're reducing the gap between the hairspring and the regulator pins so it doesn't bounce back and forth. And that gave me a very good, it gave me 0 basically for the timing of this watch. So it's running at 0, which I was super impressed by. So it's pretty cool. And let me see if I can just give you another view of this. And there's a view there where you can see the hairspring is pretty much on plane now. It was not on plane before. It was snugged up towards the balance cock. So I'll show you in a second how I got that on plane. And let me look at that hairspring, the regulator pins here as well. There, now if you look dead center, you're going to see the regulator pins in the center, and you see how I've turned the regulator pins clockwise at an angle, which is reducing the gap. So there is a bit of vibration between the hairspring going in there and the left and right side of the regulator pins, but it's much reduced. So that's really good, and it's riding nicely along that hairspring, and you can see the hairspring vibrating very nicely now. So that's in pretty good shape, I'd say. And once again, a close-up of the hairspring vibrating again. And as you can see, the stud that's in the center, let me move that over just a bit here so you can see that stud. That stud there, that hairspring is shellacked into that stud or glued into that stud, so it's very permanent. So it's working really well. And you can also see right in there, that's where I did the modifications to the hairspring where it was bent and crippled and everything else. So I got that working. So let me show you what I did with this back part of this hairspring. Way back here, I had the hairspring floating up way too close. It was riding up way too close to the balance cock, to the plate of the balance cock. This is just a gorgeous view. If you're a watchmaker, this is a very nice view. I'm using my Andon Star digital microscope to actually get this shot, but what a gorgeous view. So, and there's now good distance now between the plate and the hairspring, and let me give you a little diagram on how I did that. All right, here's my draw ring. So this is the hairspring, and let me just draw the regulator pins are right there. So these are the 2 pins that drop down, and the hairspring goes between them. And then there is a stud on the end here, and that's the anchor point. And to correct the bead error, you first move the stud to the right direction, and you'll see the bead error improving depending on what direction you need to move it. After you get the bead error done properly, Then you take this, this is attached to, let me just draw a very simple balance cock, right? I'll show you what the balance cock kind of look like. It's kind of like that, like this, and then a bit like that, and then like this, and then like that, kind of at an angle. Screw, and then the rest of the plate of the balance cock. So it kind of looked like that, and I had to do some funky stuff here. So what was happening is that this part of the balance was actually low, or sorry, it was high. It was very high, and it was hitting the actual balance cock itself, right? So let me just draw this like this. There we go. That's the balance cock. So that part was hitting the balance cock of the spring when it was pulsating, and this part was a little bit low, but not that low, so it was okay, I'd say. It was hitting there, and the whole thing was kind of coned upward. So if you looked at the balance from a different view, you'd see a coning. So if I looked at it down this way, you would have seen the actual balance. Let me just move this inward a bit so you can see what I'm drawing. You would have seen the balance kind of like this, the hairspring kind of coning like that. I'm exaggerating it, but it looked like that. So it was coning upward, which was not a good thing. So what I did is I had to move this, rotate this whole thing downward. So the only way I was able to rotate it downward was to take this part of the spring here and bend it. So I had to bend it in this direction. I'll just draw a little arrow. I had to bend it in this direction like that, if you can get my drift. So I had to bend it like this, use my Sharpie. So I bent it this way. So this was kind of taking my tweezers, instead of going straight down with my tweezers like this, I went at an angle like this with my tweezers. Then I came in like this, and I just squeezed them. And as I squeezed the tweezers, you could see the spring go down. I did not hold the hairspring with another pair of tweezers because I didn't want the bend to be drastic. So I just kind of did this here, milked it a bit on both sides, and just kept bending it. Then I'd look at it, I'd lift the whole unit up, and then look at it from the side to see where it ended up. And I did that, and I noticed it went down nicely, but this side over here was still up. So then I moved over this way, exactly 180 degrees away, and I twisted that as well. I came in at an angle like this, and I did this exact same thing to move this part down. So this part then was right, this part moved down, and everything was perfect. I got it. It just took a little tweaking, So, and manipulating the hairspring, as you saw the earlier video when I had to straighten it out, and I did not make the dog leg in the hairspring, because the hairspring should have had a dog leg in it. It should have gone like this, and then like that, and like that. Should have done that right about here, but it's of no consequence. I didn't put a dog leg in it, but I did shape it so that the regulator pins could ride along the hairspring without a problem in both directions, right? So that worked really well. So that's how I actually shaped that hairspring. I went in at an angle, grabbed it, and I went like this, and you can see the hairspring go down as I did this. I played it there until I had enough gap, the right gap, between the balance cock and the actual lower plate of the watch. And then I did it here again to lower it here. So, and I had to make sure that when I was doing this, I didn't foul the hairspring in between the pins. So as you can see in the video I just showed you a few seconds ago, it looks really good. It's in great shape, and we've got ourselves an immaculate movement now. It's quite nice. Let me focus just for a second. There you go. So it's quite nice, and it's running actually very well. So that's it. Now I think I'll be able to reassemble this watch and then get it back to the owner. I think it's in good condition. It's been cleaned. One thing I still have to do is oil the top cap on this thing. So we'll do that, and then we'll get this thing back together and get that back to the owner. So ladies It's a lady's watch. It's a lady's Tudor. And I said I don't like doing Tudors. Well, I'm not lying. But I did learn something here today. I learned how to manipulate a very, very fine hairspring. If you don't believe it's a fine hairspring, there's the size of my finger next to this watch. There's my finger next to the watch. So now you can tell how small this movement was, and how small the balance was, and how small the hairspring was. So this is all done under a microscope. You could not do this unless you had a microscope. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to reassemble this watch now. It's running very well. So thanks for watching my videos again. It's a Friday, and the weekend's here, and I really enjoyed working on this watch. Every time I thought I had it going, I said, okay, let's walk away, get a little bit of rest, and then go back at it again. So I got back at it again. I said, I'm going to make sure I get the amplitude up on this damn thing. So go to this channel, watch repair tutorials, and this gentleman knows what he is doing. You can become a patron, or you can go to his website and actually join. And he's got boatloads of watch repair videos, and he gave me some advice. I watched him actually doing the timing the beat error and actually adjusting one of those crazy regulators so that I'd get the precision I needed. So go to this channel, shout out to him out there. So one more note, this looks like it is a 2671 movement. So an ETA 2671, and I think I had someone else saying it was a 2650. But it's not, it's a 2671, and it's running wonderfully now. And I just have to show you one more shot of this gorgeous, gorgeous watch movement. I'm super impressed. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching my video. Thanks for listening to me yap. Man, I'm yapping way too much today. I'll catch you next time. Thanks, bye.